Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me again. I hope you really enjoyed the last two videos I put out. So, you want to be a beekeeper, part one and part two. And we talked about a lot of things about beginning beekeepers. So, if you stick around, there'll be a part three. And what we're going to talk about is boxes, frames, and setups of what you can do. Right now, what I'm using is just the Landstroth boxes. I haven't experienced with any others, but the last video I did, we talked about all the tools that were in my tool bag. So what I want to do today is just demonstrate how some of those tools are used. So what I'm going to do is I'm going in my Demaree back there in the back, and I'm going to inspect that to see if the honey is ready to be extracted or any frames. So what I want to do is the first tool that I'm going to use is my smoker. I'm going to get my smoker ready. And if you remembered, we talked about this cap here that outs the fire. And what it also do is it saves the fuel for you. As you can see, there's fuel that's still in here. I don't know if you can see that. So what I got in here is some pine needles and a little bit of burlap that's left over, and you can reuse that. So what I'm going to do is start from scratch and give you a rundown of how to get this thing going. So the first thing you want to do when you get your smoker, you'll find this thing in there. And what happens is they have these right here. These will be bent down like that. You don't want them bent down. You want them sticking up like that. If you have all of these bent down, what'll happen is your smoker will never stay lit. When you put it in the bottom, your fuel sits on top of this, and then the oxygen goes in underneath. So if this is sitting flat, you can't get any oxygen through the bellow right here. When you squeeze it, it blows the air through. And if that part is sitting flat, you won't be able to get anything in there. So what I usually do is I start with something that's combustible. Well, let me get this back in first and have it sit in the proper position. All right, so my piece of board. So what I usually do is I start with something combustible, like this board here. I use this. They send this to me in my shipping when I order stuff. So what it is just shredded cardboard. So what I like to do is just like rip this down the middle, just get a piece, and this is what you're going to use to start your fire. So let me just reposition the camera here so you can see the smoker, and I'll just talk to you. You don't really need to see my face. You need to see what I'm doing here. So let's get this going. So if you remember my tools, we had this little gizzard here, and this is real easy to start. You just turn it on, hit the switch, and you got a flame. So what I like to do is take my board and light it. Get the board on fire. Put it out, and once that gets on fire, you let it burn a little bit, and then you take it and stick it in there. Be mindful of your hands, and just let that stay in there until it gets lit. And then I take my pine needles. Here's what the pine needles look like if you never saw pine needles or know what I was talking about. So I take this and ball it up like that. And then you see that flame coming out the top there. Once that flame comes, you just take this and you stick it down in there. Give it a few squirts. Yeah, you just squirt it till it catch on fire. It'll take a couple of squirts. See, the smoke is a lot white now, and you'll see a flame come out the top once you get it going good. See that flame right there? It just came out. So once you see that flame, then you take more. You can take more pine needles, bend them up, fold them. Be careful, they'll stick your hand. You just fold them like that and stuff them in there. Stuff it in there real tight. You want everything in there tight. And then once you load it again, and you get it in there tight, you keep puffing it until the flame comes back to the top again. And you'll see the smoke, it starts to get real thick and heavy. So you pump that till you see a flame flash out the top. It's going to look like all your fuel is being burnt up, but it's not. So you pump it, and that's good right there. I saw the flame. You might not be able to see it. So what I do now is I take my leftover fuel that I had, and I stuff that in there, down in there real good. And I always like to bring a piece of cotton. Remember the cotton strips I was showing you? You can stuff as much as that as you want in there. I'm just going to use pine needles today. You can also use these. When your toilet paper or napkins run out, you can take these little things and flatten them like that. And you can use these to start the smoker, or you can put them in there as fuel, or you can use them to push all your fuel down. So I'm going to take one more pile of pine needles to get in there. And you can get pine needles from anywhere. I get these off the side of the road. Every time I see a pine tree, I always have a bag in my truck, and I'll just load up with them. So we go pine needles in the smoker. All right, so that's jam-packed there to the top. You can put more, but the tighter you get it in there, the slower it burns. So what you do is you just puff that. You just keep puffing it. See, that's already lit. Look at that good, clean smoke coming out of there. Let me pull it a little closer so you can see all of that nice smoke right there. All right, so now my smoker is ready. So the next thing you want to do is get your gear on. So let's get this all squished down in here, and we'll get the top closed, and we'll get ready to do the inspection. So you get all of that in there, and then we're gonna close this top over. It's kind of hot there already, which is good. That tells me the fire is ready to go. So we get that, there we go. And if you look, you're ready to go. You got plenty of good smoke there. And that's what you want, a good white smoke. You don't want the gray smoke. And that's ready to go. So I'm going to park this here. I'm going to grab my bee suit, and I'll be right back, and we'll start that inspection. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I got my gear on, my gloves, I got a half a jacket, and I got some nice baggy white cargo pants. You can wear that, or you can wear your full bee suit. So as we see over here, I have my tools right there, and we're going to put some of those tools to work. The first of these tools we'll be using is the smoker, and we're going to use the Be Calm. I got to shake it up to mix those essential oils together. And what I do is I smoke them first, and then I give them a shot of this. So we smoke the entrance real quick, a little smoke, and then you hit them with that Be Calm. So once I get them there and they start getting attracted to that, I go over here to the side. If you notice, I work from the side. My tool bag, I have a little table. I actually need another one or something a little bit taller, but this should work for now. So I got my hive strapped here, and I have screened top cover. So when I pop the top, the bees don't have access to me. So before I usually take that off, I'll give them a little hit of smoke right here at the top. And then what I do is I spray the screen also with some bee calm and get that to calm them down. Then I take my hive tool and we get the top off. We got a couple drones up here because they can't get out. All right, so I usually put that on the front. We usually have more bees up here. Let's see what's going on. I usually have a lot more bees up on the top here. I'm gonna start from the middle. Okay, so they're not working this super here. All right, that's what it is. Middle of this one, nothing's going on. So maybe they have too much space here. See, that's why I say you give them space when they need it and you take it away when they don't need it. So it looks like they don't need this box right here. So I might be removing this box because there's no activity going on. And the last time I came up, well, they are drawing the frames out. Maybe I'll leave it and get some drawn frame out of it. All right, we'll do that. They are drawing it out, so let me take that back. Let me check one more over here. Oh, yes, they're drawing these out, so maybe they're getting ready to, yes. Yes. All right, if you look at this, I'll show you this. See that drawing comb right there? They're drawing this out. There's no nectar storage or anything going on. So what I'll do is I'll leave the box on, but we'll just go ahead and take this box and go down to the next one. I'll leave this on. So we crack that, leave that there. What I do is I pop that up, give them a little smoke in there. And then because I only have one table, what I normally do now is put my bag on the ground because I don't like to put my frames in the dirt and in the leaves. So I like to put them on this little table I got here. I got stuff tripping me. So we'll put the smoker here, that, and we'll use the top. We'll use that for the boxes. So here we go. First box off. And notice how I place the supers down. You don't want to place them the opposite way. You want these to be up. If you place it where those are laying down, you'll squash the bees and you'll make a mess. So you want to hold it like that, where they're straight up and down. Or you can lay it flat on the table. All right. So see, I don't even have to smoke them. So what I usually do is when they're good little girls, I just give them the be calm. I'm getting a little weary though, because I used to see a lot more bees in here than what I'm seeing. So let's check this out, make sure there's no issues in here. Yeah. All right, they still storing nectar. All right, so what I'm going to do is now we're going to put the frame holder in play, and you'll see how this thing works. This goes on the side here, and you pop your frames in there. So let's take that one back out. I like to take 2 frames out so I can slide them down and look. All right, so they just making it over here to the wall. So they're drawing this out and they're storing nectar. All right, now they checking me out. Now let me show you that. Look, see that in there? That's nectar. They're storing nectar in this one. The other side, they're just drawing it out. So what we'll do is we'll put this one over here. And I'll slide this one down. All right, now they starting to check me out. So we'll just give them a little smoke. I guess they figured out something's going on in the hive. So a couple of guard bees out. But that's normal. If you're used to little hives, you'll probably be intimidated. Okay, they still storing nectar. This is pretty heavy. All right, so we'll pop another one here. Separate it. They don't like me in the honey supers. But oh well. Yeah, they're storing up nectar. But I'll tell you what, there used to be way more bees than that in here. I'm starting to get worried here. Well, I shouldn't say worried, concerned. The last time I opened this box, they were like, so many bees. It was terrifying. That's why I put that other box on. All right, let me try the other tool. Let's put one of these other tools into play, which is the frame holder. Frame grabber, actually. So you lock that in there. And you gotta wiggle that out. All right, look like this one's stuck at the bottom. Oh, wow. All right, this one they just started capping. Whoa, this thing is heavy. All right, so they just started capping this one. Yeah, they got it full. I'll show you what it looks like when they start to cap it. See that top there? That's the cappings. They're going to run those cappings all the way down, and then they're going to do the other side. Once all of those cells are capped, then this frame will be ready for extraction. So that's all I need to see out of here. Not much going on there. Make sure we don't squash bees. Let me check one more. Usually the middle is where they do all the work. So let me slide that one down. Let's check one more in the middle. And you can also hang your hive tool right here. Okay, you can hear the tone of them now. The tone tells you a lot also about the bees. Yep. Yeah, it looks like they just started capping. They just started capping. Let's do one more and then I'll close this one up. It's like somebody's in the shower and you pull the curtain. So now the bees are like, hey, what's going on? Somebody's peeping at us. Oh yeah, all right. So they just capping these. I won't go any further with this box. So that's what my inspection was about today. Just cap and see how far they're coming along with the honey, if it's ready to be extracted. Probably I'll come back at the end of the month to check. So now here's the fun part, because they like to go in the favorite spots, right where the frames come together, where you don't want them to go, because they get pinched in between the frames. So I gotta smoke them out of there so they don't get squashed. All right, and then we'll put this one back on the end here. Then you want to take this off, put that down. I have a little cloth I usually cover them up with, because they don't like to be exposed. So what I'll do, here's what I'll do for them. I'll take this and we'll lay this one on top of it. Like that. And then we'll take off this big one. And then I'll put the cover on top of the big one. So let me get the hive tool. What did I do with the hive tool? Right here. Hive tool is right here. All right, so here we go. We're gonna lift this one off. I'm gonna get that hive tool in there, pop it up, give them some smoke, and then we're gonna pop this one off. Y'all, this thing, whoa, this thing is heavy. Goodness gracious. Oh, that thing is heavy. All right, I'm gonna put the cap back on here. So, that's for like robbing. Other bees will come around and they'll smell that honey and then they'll try to rob it out. And then the bees will really be mad at you. They'll be like, you opened my hive and you let all these other bees come in to rob us. All right, this one, let's see what's going on. We'll give them some Be Calm. And while you're watching this video, you can zoom in and see what I'm doing. It'll get you in a little closer. I don't like to block the entrance, but you know what? Let's do that. I'm gonna give you a close up. Hopefully the bees don't mind. Sometimes they don't take too kind to the camera. I guess it gives off some kind of frequency that they're on, and they'll go over and start trying to bite the camera. So let's get this. Here is our frame holder in action again, and you see it got trash on it. That's why I don't like to put it down. All right, now you see why this is my favorite tool. You know what they did, and we'll talk about this. Sometimes when you wax these frames, they take the frames and go other places. They'll take that wax off of there and use it in other spots. They got a lot of frames here. They haven't made it to the end yet. Wow, that's not nice. Look what they did. They just drawing that out. storing nectar in here. Let's see what's going on in this one. They just started drawing that out. I don't know. Look like they went on a vacation. I thought they would be further along here with this one. All right, let me get my smoke them out a bit. Give them a little smoke. Oh, my frame holder disappeared. Where did I put it? Oh, can't find my frame holder. What did I do with it? Wow, that's not good. My frame holder disappeared on the job. Oh, there it is. It fell in the bushes. All right, let's see these. Oh, man. Yeah, oh, wow. They just started drawing that out. Yep, they just started drawing that out too. Yeah, these are things you got to pay attention to. The condition of your hive. I noticed that this hive has went down. And I came in here before, unless all of them are out foraging, that could be it, but it looks like the population has shrunk. Hopefully that's the case. Yeah, it looked like the population had shrunk. All right, they capping that one along, as you can see that. They trying to get it capped. Can you see that? Yep, I guess. You know what? Let's take this one. We'll put this one in the middle. Encourage them to get in the middle and get working instead of working on the end. So these are things you got to pay attention to. Sometimes you have to rotate them to get them in certain spots. And as I tell you, oh no, they got this one. I don't know what happened here. Oh, they built this one onto the wall. That's not good. Yeah, they built that one onto the wall. All right, looks like they need a little more smoke here, especially the ones around my head. You can see as I'm working here, the bees are going in and out. They're still doing their thing, but I got a little problem here with this one. Yeah. Never seen anything like that. This is weird. It looked like they filled this up with wax. You know, something funny is going on in here. Let me scrape some of this off the side. See, these are the things you have to pay attention to and fix when you see them. Now, I have to watch this box because, like I say, it looked like the population is going down unless they're all out foraging. So I was expecting to see it a little better than this. The last time I looked in here, it actually looked better than the way it looked now. So not sure what's going down in here. Gonna move some of these frames over. Let's get the ones that they're not drawing out and put them there. Do like a little checkerboard on them. All right, then we'll put this one back in right here. Oh man, to be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed, but we'll see what's going on. Sometimes disappointment is good. It keeps you alert and makes you use your skills. Instead of looking for someone to tell you everything, you know, that's what I don't like about a lot of beginner beekeepers. Every little thing they put up a post for. I mean, simple things. That's why sometimes the guys that's on the channel, they give you a hard time. Because in other words, what they're saying is you should know that stuff. You shouldn't be posting that on an online forum. You should already know that question that you just asked. If you take beekeeping serious and you're doing what you're supposed to do. All right, so let's smoke the bottom here. See, my smoker is still lit too, by the way. It hasn't gone out once. I have to tell you about this guy I saw in the video. His smoker kept going out and he was making fun of the beekeepers. Oh, I see beekeepers doing this and doing that. You don't have to do all of that. You can just do it like this. And his smoker kept going out. All right. This is the one before the queen, the brood chamber. But unfortunately, we're not going in the brood chamber today. I'm just checking honey. I thought they would be further along. Like I say, I'm kind of disappointed in what I see. So let's get one out the middle. The middle is where they start. Now, they look like there's plenty of bees in here, but not in the top though. All right, they're storing pollen in here. I forgot. This was part of my brood nest. But I took the queen excluder and put it on the bottom. So this was, because what I do, I use a deep and a super for my brood chamber. And then once the season gets going, I let the bees hatch out of here and I put my queen excluder. See this bright line right here? That's my queen excluder. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in what I see here. The last time I came in here, it was like rolling. And I was like, oh, honey should be ready in this amount of time. And now I'm looking in here and it's like, ugh, what's going on? Yeah, they building wonky comb over here. We're gonna break that down. Yeah, they building some wonky comb. We'll put that in the bag. All right, so what they doing is they're storing honey along with pollen here, I guess, for the brood chamber. So I won't go any further with that. So that's that. So I'm expecting honey out of these three and nothing going on in there. I'm kind of a little bit surprised. Okay. Well, I told you I'd bring you along on my inspection here and see what's going down. So what I'll do is I'll pop this box up and at least let you see what's underneath. And then we'll smoke it and put it back down. All right, so there's the queen excluder. See, they coming out now. They don't like the smoke. All right, so that's what's going on down there with that one. Probably 2 weeks it'll be a time to inspect the brood chamber. So that'll be it. I just want to bring you along and let you get a ride. Those new beekeepers to see what you're getting into here. So you can't be afraid of the bees. You know, they see all the bees coming out the top there. Sometimes this whole thing is covered and they're just pouring out, and a lot of them are flying around your head. And if you show fear, it'll get worse. You just got to be confident, work slow, ignore them because you have your bee suit on. You don't have to worry and fan at them and try to hit them. You know, you have this many bees, bees are going to get killed. Don't worry about that. You just smoke the edges and make sure they get off, and what gets squashed in between, you can't do nothing about that. But you just want to move slow. So I won't be going down in the bottom. We'll start putting these back on. I'm just going to give them a little spray to get them in the middle. See, once you put the spray here and they see that, they'll go over there. Most of them going down. And then I'll give them a little smoke. Give them a little smoke. Get them off of there. And then even though you do that, some still gonna get squashed. So what can you do? Just take it, put it back on here. I try to line it up and just slide them off. That's the best you can do. When you slide it, at least you can push them out of the way. Get this on here. Make sure my edges and corners are all on good. And you can hear them fussing and say, oh, Rich, you killed a couple of our comrades. And Rich is like, okay, don't worry, I'm putting the hive back together. Well, one thing I can tell you is there is honey in this one. I don't know when it's going to be ready, but this thing is heavy. This is a backbreaker. Trying to lift this thing up. Wow, this is heavy. That's the only positive thing I see. This thing weighs about maybe 60 or 70 pounds with honey. But it's not ready yet. So we'll have to let it cap it. Or I'll bring out my refractometer, test it, and see what's the moisture content. All right. Whoa. Well, that's a good sign. This box right here is the only positive for the day. I usually smoke around my head when they get too noisy in my ear, just to get them out. All right, so we almost there. We got it back together. Now the screen always stick to this one, so I gotta get the propolis on. All right, see, this thing is light as a feather. But since they're drawing out frames, I won't take it off. I can use those drawing out frames. And the good thing, I didn't see one hive beetle. That's why I tell you a strong colony takes care of hive beetles. Now, I don't know if you saw the amount of bees that's in here, but when those hive beetles come through the bottom, you got to get through 20, 30,000 bees just to get in the hive. So that's the key to hive beetles. If your colony is strong, the bees will take care of them. But if you're just starting out, you always want to have a couple of oil traps in here. Okay, so that's my screen thing. And let's see the bee brush in action as we talked about. I'm going to put this cover on, so I want to dust all the bees from under here, because there's nothing here for them, because there's a screen. They can't get into the hive. So these bees weren't too bad. You know, that's what I expected out of them. Fly around your head. You know, the bigger your hive is, the more guard bees you're going to have. You got to remember that when you have one brood chamber, you don't have that many bees, so they don't seem that intimidating. But when you start stacking boxes like this and you get 50, 60,000 bees, just think of how many guard bees are in there. So what happens is when you open that up, oh, they come around, people get terrified. It happened to me the first time when I actually went to set up this Demaree, and I had my boxes and I took the brood chamber apart to find the queen and put her in a single box. Man, when I opened it up, bees were just pouring, just grew. And every time I come here and lift the top just to peek up the top, here's always full of bees. So see, that's something I noticed when I opened this. It wasn't full of bees at the top. Now, either a lot of them are out foraging, or something's going on with the queen. Maybe she's slowing down. Maybe she wasn't made it that well. So those are things that you have to figure out. So the next time I go into the bottom chamber, I have to look for the queen, check out her laying pattern, make sure the laying pattern is good, and make sure that, you know, you don't see any signs of diseases, mites. You know, I'm treating them for mites. Actually, they're due for a treatment tonight with oxalic acid. So those are a lot of the things that you have to pay attention to that'll kill your hive, and you know, you'll become depressed and depressed and discouraged if your bees don't take off, because the ultimate goal of keeping bees is what? Harvesting honey, getting that liquid gold, and just be so happy for the effort that you put in, the time, the money that you spent, and just the interaction with the bees, and just the knowledge that you get from learning about bees. So let's get the top on and we'll call it a day for this one. And I'll see you on my next video. So my next video will be about the boxes, the entrance reducers, the frames inside, the follower boards, the snail boards, snail growth boards, all of those different things that you can do to manipulate the hive. We'll talk about those, and we'll talk about costs. Remember what my favorite slogan is: beekeeping is not cheap. So you got to have all of these things ready when your bees expand. You got to have equipment ready to go. You got to have mite treatments. Whatever you need, you got to have frames. And most of all, you got to have time. So if you don't have the time to do this, then you know you're gonna end up quitting. It's gonna get to you. You ain't gonna have time to spend with your family, get all the other stuff that you normally do or responsible to do. You won't get that done. So that's it for this right here. I'm gonna pack up the tools and we're gonna head inside. And remember that thing I showed you? Well, I can't show you how the strap holds on, but one thing I can show you is look at this. We were out here for 36 minutes and my smoker is still going. And at the beginning of the video, I showed you what to do. And I have my fuel over there. So if my smoker does go out, I can grab more fuel. But what I do, it depends on what inspection I'm doing. If I know I'm going to have a long inspection, then I pack it real good with fuel. If I'm going to have a light inspection, a few pieces of cotton and some pine needles, or either some burlap by itself and some pine needles, and that usually helped me out through one inspection. So I'm going to put this back together, strap it down, and the bees will calm down. They're all rowdy now, but as soon as you put things back together and you leave, they kind of calm down. Afterwards, you'll get a couple of rogue bees flying around in the yard. You got to be careful. They'll sting you because they'll be like, hey, something happened in the hive today. Let me just do a patrol and see what I see that's out there. And if they see you, they'll just come over and give you a sting. That's why it's always good to do that. And also, I'm going to give you a shot down here. You see my Velcro straps? My Velcro straps are on my legs. And if you look on the ground, you see bees crawling. So they will crawl up your pants leg when you're not looking and give you a good one on your willy. And also, I just want to show you this. Here's my little golf plug. This is where I treat for oxalic acid. I pull that out and I put the front of my vaporizer, that little tube, right into this hole. And then the oxalic acid goes into the hive. And I block the entrance off with a towel or old sock so the vapors stay in. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for joining me on another adventure from my baby's apiary. Please like and subscribe and leave any comments or anything you'd like me to address that you're not aware or familiar with. Thank you. God bless. Peace, love, joy, and happiness.